Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Shatarashata Shishimat, His Divine Grace Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Lord Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. We read text 59 without a purport, and then we read text 60. Just now coming. Text 59. Since you inquired from me, I have fully described to you those activities of Lord Hari that were performed in his 5th year but not celebrated until his 6th. So we found out already why. So we text 60. Etat suhrid bish charitam murarer agardanam shadvala jemanam cha Yaktetare drupa major abhishtavam Shivan grinaneti naro kilartan Etat suridvish charita murarer Agardanam shadvala jemanam cha Vyakter taradrupa major vabhishtavam Shinvangrinana eti naro kilartam Etasudvidish charita murare Agardanam shadvala jaivanam cha Vivaradupa major vabhishtavam Shinvan grinaneti anukilartan Asubhidis charita murare Vivaradupa major vabhishtavam Okay, Mataji. Etasuridvis charita murare Agardanam shadvala jemanam cha Aviketvaradu major vabhishtavam Invangrinaneti naro kilartam Etat this Suhrid be along with the cowherd friends Charitam pastimes Murare of Lord Murari Aga Ardanam the subduing of the demon Agasura. Shadwala on the grass in the forest. Yamanam, the taking of lunch. Cha and Vyakta itarat, supramundane. Rupam, the transcendental form of the Lord. Aja, by Lord Brahma. Uru, elaborate. Abhishtavam, the offering of prayers. Shinvan, hearing. Grinan, chanting. Eti, attains. Nara, any person. Akila artan, all desirable things. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any person who hears or chants these pastimes Lord Murari performed with his cowherd friends, the killing of Agasura, the taking of lunch on the forest grass, the Lord's manifestation of transcendental forms, and the wonderful prayers offered by Lord Brahma, is sure to achieve all his spiritual desires. Purport. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami, even one who is only inclined to hear and chant the pastimes of Lord Krishna will achieve spiritual perfection. Many devotees seriously engaged in propagating Krishna consciousness are often so busy that they cannot chant and hear the pastimes of the Lord to their full satisfaction. However, simply by their intense desire to always chant and hear about Lord Krishna, they will achieve spiritual perfection. Of course, as far as possible, one should actually vibrate these transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shimate Praladananda Samiti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shimate Bhaktivedanta Samiti Namine. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashita Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Not say that, we'll say that later. So this is very interesting. Sometimes in some chapters or in some pastimes at the end, Srila Shukadev Goswami says, if you hear this, then you get this. Very interesting. And here he says that if you hear about these pastimes with Agasura and everything else, Lord Brahma, then you will achieve all your spiritual desires. So the conclusion might be for us that finish, no more Bhagavad Gita, no more Shishopanishad, this boring philosophy. We just read about Agasura and the cowherd boys and Lord Brahma, and that's it. Go back to Goloka Vrindavan. No more. Just stick to the juice. Get straight to the juice. You know. And so that might be the conclusion some person would take. And actually, I was reading Srila Shivara Maharaj's book, and there's a science who should read what. It's not that you just open the books and you read whatever. There's a science according to the qualification, not so much according to how we feel. According to the qualification, we should read something. So what we should read is according to the qualification, not so much about according to how we feel. That's also. So there is a science. There is an interesting incident in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is pointed out by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And there's these 5 chapters where these pastimes with the gopis. And after these 5 chapters, Parikshit Maharaj asks a question. And the question is, which Parikshit Maharaj asks is, O Brahmana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the Universe, O Brahmana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the Universe, has descended to this earth along with his plenary portion to destroy irreligion and to re-establish religious principles. Indeed, he is the original speaker, follower and guardian of moral laws. How then could he have violated them by touching other men's wives? So Parikshit Maharaj is asking this question. You know, like this seems very immoral. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains even further why Parikshit Maharaj is asking this question. So he says, Maharaj Parikshit saw that among those present in the assembly, doubts arose in the hearts of many fruitive workers, mental speculators, and mystics. So we have to imagine that there's Shukadev Goswami, there's Maharaj Parikshit, and there's many other people there in the audience. It's not just Maharaj Parikshit. There's many other people who are karmis, gyanis. You know, they're not pure devotees. They're not on Maharaj Parikshit's level. It's not just a discussion between Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. And so in this devotee's mind, in these people's mind who are there, they didn't have the proper reaction. You can imagine Shukadev Goswami speaking about Rasa Lila. He's in ecstasy, you know, like he's in ecstasy and he's in that lila, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains further. These non-devotees did not only Krishna, but Shukadev Goswami. So they think, oh, Krishna, this is a bit immoral. And also Shukadev Goswami, he's obviously absorbed in this pastime. So they thought, how is it that one so committed to virtuous conduct as Shukadev Goswami, who chose this Shukadev Goswami, who chose him to be the most elevated spiritually, can be absorbed in these pastimes while narrating them. So you can imagine Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, they are on that level. They can talk about Rasa Lila. But there's other people around who are not on that level. So Parikshit Maharaj gives the sign that, okay, maybe we should change the subject. This is too much for this audience. There's many similar incidents, you know. Like today is Gadadhar Pandit's appearance day. So they were discussing they had in the night they were discussing with Ramananda Raya, Lord Chaitanya, and devotees on that level. They were discussing the pastimes of Krishna. But when they were alone. But the most of the time, Lord Chaitanya is, oh, just chant Hare Krishna, you know. So there are some topics which are discussed in that association, but it's not for everyone. Another example is when Ramananda Raya meets Lord Chaitanya. So they meet, And they are in ecstasy because Lord Chaitanya understands who Ramananda Raya is and who is his identity. Ramananda Raya is in ecstasy. And there's Ramananda Raya's ministers, or some his associates, and they are looking a bit strange. Like, what's wrong? What's happening here? why Ramananda Raya, who is this governor, is embracing this sannyasi and is in ecstasy and like. So Lord Chaitanya sees this and she's like, okay, we'll talk later when we're alone. We go into this. Another example is in Jaiva Dharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There's I read it quite some time ago, so I don't remember the details. But there was someone who was acting on the level of spiritual master, and he was talking with one disciple who was very advanced, and he was in the mood of the gopis, in this conjugal mood. And then they were discussing some topics which were relevant for them, and then someone came in, some other disciple, and this disciple was on the more in Sakya Rasa, in friendship. So as soon as this person came in, they stopped this discussion. That okay, this is not for him, and they started discussing something else. And when this person left, they continued their discussion. It's very very important concept. Lord Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita. First he says, Sarva dharmam parityajama mekam sharanam raja. He says, abandon everything and just surrender unto me. And then the next verse, he says, of course he says that after that, he says, this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. Krishna says, yes, if throughout Bhagavad Gita says, this is confidential knowledge, this is very confidential knowledge, this is very, very confidential knowledge, this is the most confidential. And at the end he says, confidential knowledge, you don't just go out and tell everyone. You have to see what's their qualification. And if they have qualification, no problem. So, Shivaram Maharaj's conclusion to this part, he says, in summary, people who hear or read subjects for which they have no qualification will doubt not only Krishna, but those who speak his glories. Such persons become doubly cursed because they lose faith in the disciplic succession as well as in the Lord. Devotees must therefore carefully select the subjects they present to their audience, lest they be responsible for anyone's offenses or loss of faith. Vaishnava preachers live for just the opposite result. So, this is a heavy statement. If you tell someone about Krishna and he makes offenses, you're responsible. It's heavy. Because you didn't use your intelligence to tell them what's appropriate. Someone comes and he's from the street, you tell him about Rasa Lila, and he makes offenses, and then you're responsible. Heavy. Anyway, so I mean, I could see also in my life. I was in Mayapur, and I said, okay, I will read also some more esoteric books. And I was reading, and I was seeing for myself that this is not for me. I mean, it was like books from Srila Rupa Goswami or Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So it was like in our parampara. It was not some strange books. But obviously, that was not my level to read these books. So I was like, okay. So the general practice, which Srila Prabhupada also, observed, was that he would speak in class to the minimum level of the audience. So that's why many of Srila Prabhupada's classes are about how we are not the body. So he would speak, okay, to the minimum level. There's some other because this tendency to just go ahead and speak beyond the capacity of the speaker and the audience this is sahaja. This is what all these sahajas do. They just go there and they're like, okay, we don't even follow the principles, but we talk about Radha Krishna. Anyway, so this is very important principle that we should see what is our level and speak on that level. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives an example which I don't remember. That because I don't remember the cooking part, but the rest. He says that there's lila, there's pastimes, and there's tattva. There's knowledge, philosophy behind. And people usually like the lila. We want to hear lila. Yeah, tell me some pastimes. And he says, okay, these pastimes are sweet, okay, no problem. And then he says that tattva is like these ingredients. Like in some sweets, you have, for example, you have pepper or something. I don't remember exactly what was the example he gives, but you put some pepper, like pepper itself, it's not sweet. But when chutney, okay, let's work with that. So lila is sweet, and then is the sugar, and then you put some chili, and chili is like not sweet or pepper or something. Probably pepper is more sattvic, but anyway. So so by putting the tattva there, you just enhance the lila. So that's the Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation. And actually, if you have the lila without the tattva, you're not going in the right direction. Anyway, so we don't want just to depress people. So you can still read some things. So Shivara Maharaj gives some hints about what we should read according to our level. So he first says, okay, there's non-devotees, which sometimes we can also, we might wear this, but in our mind we can be non-devotees. So sometimes it can apply. So he says, non-devotees should hear the topics that increase their faith in Krishna's divinity and induce them to surrender to the Krishna consciousness process, particularly to the chanting of Hare Krishna. Books most suited for this kind of hearing are Bhagavad Gita, as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna book, and Shish Upanishad. It is best to hear these books systematically, reading topics in the order that appear in the books. So, in the beginning, what do you hear? We have in ISKCON, we have Bhakti Shastri. So in Bhakti Shastri, you have nectar of instruction, Shri Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, a nectar of devotion. Yeah? And from nectar of devotion, you have first part. Second part, the other part, maybe later. I don't know if it's somewhere in the curriculum. But just first part. So that's it. This is the books that you read, and they increase your faith. Oh, okay, Krishna is God, and then also you can read the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can read Krishna book, but in the right order. Just because. For example, if you read Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can go straight to Antya Lila, and there's the feelings of separation of Lord Chaitanya. And there's some lila, and you might be, which is probably beyond our understanding. But if you start from the beginning, you read Adi Lila, and then heavy philosophy on Guru Tattva, this puts the proper perspective, And in general, Srila Prabhupada, like when he gives Krishna book, he describes it in such a way that he puts Tattva inside in the Lila. So that's his special feature. That more or less, Srila Prabhupada's books, you cannot go so wrong. Because Srila Prabhupada always puts the tattva inside. Wherever there's some lila, he just puts the tattva inside. But still, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you read from first canto to 10th canto, because there's a progression of confidentiality. And of course, there's Shivara Maharaj gives this example that while reading Krishna book and Srimad Bhagavatam, non-devotees will inevitably read Krishna Lila. You get to the 10th canto at some point. Or you read the Krishna book. You'll get there at some point. And he says, you can, okay, no problem. You can read the 5 chapters on the gopis, but you should read them incidentally. Incidentally means you just go through and you don't read just that part. You don't study this part, like, okay, I like these 5 chapters and I study this chapter. No, you read first chapter, second chapter, and then when it comes to chapter 29, I think, you read that also. And you go to the next level. And then you read, you're like a bit, cautious. Maybe it's beyond my... So it's not a problem. You can read it. But it's just like... and you don't put into it. Okay. Good. Non-devotees. Then there's mixed devotees. Probably many of the devotees are mixed devotees. A bit for Krishna, and I came to the Krishna consciousness to be the best. If I'm the best devotee, then it's also good. But I should be the best in something. I have my material needs, which Krishna will fulfill. I like to speculate. So he says that mixed devotees should hear topics of Krishna that purify their faith of selfish motives and the reticence to surrender. They may purposefully read and hear about the incarnation of the Lord in whom they have faith, as well as the pastime of Krishna that reveal his opulence and divinity. Like non-devotee, mixed devotees may incidentally hear of Krishna's Vraja Lila and occasionally sing of songs of Krishna's loving exchanges with the Vrajavasi. But preachers should instruct them to keep a reverential distance from such topics and to respect Srimati Radharani as the Divine Mother. I mean, personally, when I hear new devotees, they are 2 years in the movement and they are Radhe Radhe, I'm like, I don't know if that's really appropriate. But anyway, so Maharaj said that mixed devotees can read, because the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is a progression of more confidential incarnation of Krishna. So you can read it in sequence, and you can read even read specifically. You're attracted to Lord Nrsimhadev. You can read these chapters, It's not... and if you want to read about Krishna, specifically, better to read about the pastimes in Dvaraka, which are more like in opulence. Krishna is God. He's the king. And these pastimes about Krishna in Vrindavan, you get through them. You don't just go specifically into that. One note here. because sometimes devotees can say, I'm attracted to this form, I'm attracted to this form. But until you're at a very advanced stage, this attraction is probably material. It's on the material platform. Unless until your spiritual form is not revealed, your attraction to this, to some form or the other, is can be material. So you can read specifically on some incarnation that you feel attracted to, but you should keep in mind that maybe you're not that's not your spiritual identity. You don't know until you're probably at Bhava or somewhere. So anyway, okay. I'll just go through this. Shri Pancha Tattva ki jai, Shri Gornitai ki jai. He says, then he has a very interesting concept. He says, pure devotees with weak faith. Then you can think, pure devotees with weak faith. What's wrong? What's this? You know? How can you say pure devotees with weak? That's an interesting concept. The idea is that until here, even the Shraddha itself, the faith itself, is mixed. You know, like you have some faith in Krishna, you have some faith in, but sometimes you have even beginners that they have pure faith. They are completely convinced. Okay, I have to surrender to Krishna. But of course, because they are beginners, you know, there's many challenges. They are not yet purified. Their faith is not, but still the direction is clear. He's not thinking, oh, I'm, you know, mixed devotees say, okay, maybe Krishna, maybe Shiva, maybe my boss at work, maybe this. But these are like full on. So pure devotees with weak faith should hear topics that steady them in devotional practice and elevate them above the bodily conception. They should study philosophical truths and learn to apply them in their devotional lives. Because congregational chanting and preaching activities such as book distribution easily lend themselves to such applied devotees, neophyte devotees should learn to preach. Reading Chaitanya Charitamrita along with Srila Prabhupada's other books will enhance their preaching mood. So he adds a very, very interesting component: preaching. You want to advance, then you have to preach. Vaisheshika Prabhu calls Sankirtan high-level sadhana. This is sadhana. And so these devotees, they don't, of course, we read, we study, we have sadhana, proper sadhana. Like now we have a proper sadhana campaign. There's a morning program, we have evening program, we have chanting, 16 rounds or maybe a bit more. And you read a bit. And the rest of the time, you do something for Krishna. And what is the whole purpose of this, of our doing something for Krishna, is preaching. This is a preaching movement. Especially these temples in the cities, they are not their focus should be preaching, to bring people into Krishna consciousness, to get out, give them some books, give them Harinam, give them something, and bring them in and show them how to practice. That's the whole purpose. So this doesn't mean you have to find a balance. Okay, your sadhana is important. You have to have sadhana, and then also there should be some preaching, service. Okay, and then it goes on. So there's a progression. just because I'll skip some parts because I don't have so much time. Just because there's this preaching mentioned in this purport, and there's this idea that we are in the West and or we are in a preaching movement, and you probably don't have too much time to meditate on Krishna and read about Krishna's pastimes. And there's and then you might say, maybe I should preach less. And there's in Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, Shivara Maharaj's last 2 chapters is the story of a fictitious devotee. He gives him a name, Achyutananda, and he has some associates, and he has a spiritual master. And at some point, this devotee becomes very advanced, and he goes to Mayapur, and he starts chanting, chanting more seriously. And he is actually in the experiencing Radha Krishna's pastimes. And then, I mean, he has a return ticket which expires in 2 or 3 days, and he is in that state. And then he's thinking he's with his associate, which is a bit of senior devotee, and then comes the questions what to do. Should I stay in Mayapur? And I'm not saying if you stay in Mayapur and preach, you shouldn't stay in Mayapur. That's different. But he's asking, should I stay in Mayapur or should I come back to the West and preach? Should I stay in Mayapur and continue chanting and get deeper into rasa? And then he asks this senior devotee, and he says, no, this is something you have to decide. You go in front of Panchatattva and you pray and ask them for guidance. So he goes first day, nothing. Second day, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda come out from the altar, and Lord Nityananda says, Lord Nityananda gives him an instruction. He says, return to your place of service, continue to serve us there. He says, no, you go back to the West. By the grace of my Lord Gauranga, you will achieve ultimate perfection. Do not doubt it. So Lord Nityananda says, no, you go to the West. So this devotee came back to the West, continued preaching. It's very, very interesting how he was preaching. He was anyway, I've got it. And actually, this is the mood of our parampara. Srila Prabhupada said that devotees can preach for some time, and then they can go and retire in Mayapur and Vrindavan and just chant and solitary bhajan. And then he added, but for me, I'm not so advanced. So that's the clear mood, like that our parampara has. I will not retire. I mean, of course, it's not wrong if you do it, but that's the mood. That's the principle Srila Prabhupada had. And I will not retire in Vrindavan. He always said to his disciples that I will retire and just write books. And then 5 minutes later, someone comes with a management problem, and Srila Prabhupada is right into it. But you said that you will retire. Yeah, it's not possible in this lifetime. No, so that was Srila Prabhupada's mood. And he also, there's these quotes like, work now, samadhi later. Prabhupada said, first deserve, then desire. That always in this mood that, okay, you have to work on your internal spiritual development, but also at the same time, so the mood is that internally we try to deepen our relationship with Guru Parampara, with Radha Krishna, in a gradual, very patient way, systematic, focused, but patient also, without cutting corners. And externally, we engage in whatever is needed to push forward the movement, and whatever it takes. So that's the mood. That's the mood which I understand from our parampara. That yeah, you're internally thinking of Radha Krishna and their pastimes, and externally you're dealing with crazy people. You're doing management activities. You're, I don't know, whatever is needed. So yeah, just wanted to share this. Okay, sorry for talking too much. If there are some comments, questions, I'm sure Shridevi Mataji has something. If you can want to add something or.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very well-researched class. As you were speaking, I was thinking about, neophytes saying Radhe Radhe. And yes, we don't speak easily of Radharani because she is the topmost servant of the Lord. But after going to India, I have seen that some devotees, they come from families where they are either Vrindavan Vasis or they are Brajvasis, and they have in their parampara, they already have Krishna consciousness. In their family, they grow up worshipping, Radha Krishna. And in their home, it's common to say Radhe Radhe. If you go to Vrindavan, everyone says Radhe Radhe. Srila Prabhupada said, if you go to Vrindavan, they don't say Hare Krishna, they say Radhe Radhe, because Radharani is the queen of Vrindavan. So, every devotee is different. So, sometimes they may be, in our eyes, considered neophytes because they have just joined ISKCON, but they have a long history, family history of serving Radha Krishna because they are Brajvasis. So, they may say Radhe Radhe. That's just I wanted to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's about qualification. Qualification is not given by how much time you're in ISKCON, or because it goes from many lifetimes, and it goes with many things before. But anyway, I mean, I was in last year in Vrindavan, and some things. I mean, maybe I'm too sensitive to this, but like you go on the street and there's these beggars Radhe Radhe, which means give me a donation, and then these other people who are like Radhe Radhe and they want to put you tilak, and then if you don't give me 500 rupees, they, it's like I'm distasteful. And many of our neophyte devotees, which they are neophyte, they get into this. I mean, from Radha, I don't know. I didn't go to school with Srimati Radharani, like. No, I'm not. I wasn't like her schoolmate, like I was there and like with Radha. I don't know. It should be there should be some qualification there to. And some proper attitude, which sometimes, for me, it seems that it's not there. So I'm quite reserved on this, and anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you that anybody saying, is perhaps taking the name very cheaply, as this is Sahajiya mentality. But as you rightly said, qualification can come from many lifetimes of being a Brajvasi. That's a different mood completely.
Yeah, maybe.
Thank you.
And also, if you mentioned that we in ISKCON, I don't know what the Brajavasi are doing, that's not more, but we in ISKCON, we are more promoting sadhana bhakti. So we are not on this spontaneous platform. Maybe some people are in Vrindavan, they are really on the spontaneous platform, and that's perfectly fine. Then you can. But if you are on this sadhana bhakti, this is not Radha, it's Srimati Radharani. We were organizing this program in Romania at some point, and Bhaktipad Goswami, he's now a sannyas, he was there, and we was putting the Janmashtami. He says, no, 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 this is Shri Krishna Janmashtami. I was very strong on this. It's not. It's Shri Krishna. For you, it's Shri Krishna. Anyway. So, yeah, it's like, okay. Anyway. So both sides are true.
Hare Krishna. So I was thinking when you were saying that when you read these books, like we go out, we give books to these people, and obviously we give them systematically Bhagavad Gita and stuff, but like you said, because other things they won't appreciate, they won't understand, they will make offenses. But what if they can't even appreciate the knowledge in the Gita, in Ishopanishad? How can we still give them something? Of course, prasadam is, but how can we still philosophically turn them if they don't even have Sukriti to understand the Gita, or of course nobody understands, but yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, when you preach, you take some risks, and Srila Prabhupada gave this instruction that we have to distribute his books. So you are following Shiguru Parampara, so you should be safe. We should, if you mention this, we should be careful that we give the books to people that they will at least have a minimum of respect for them. So that's why sometimes to distribute free books that they will throw away after 5 meters is not such a good idea. Not so much because we need the Lakshmi, but you know. So we should distribute these books in a way that we try to make sure that they have some respect for the books. They should have some qualification. But anyway, nobody is qualified, so that's the mood of Lord Chaitanya. But we shouldn't overdo it, you know. Like we should do our best, not just throw books around, but at the same time, this is Srila Prabhupada's plan. And actually, Lord Chaitanya just went around and he asked everyone to chant Hare Krishna. So that's the mood. But we shouldn't purposefully. I mean, they will take it home, they will read, and they won't like it. But Srila Prabhupada is preaching to them, so they have some benefit. Yeah, my understanding is that as long as you are doing under the instructions of Shri Guru Parampara, you know, like he pays, Srila Prabhupada takes the pays the bill.
Assure Prabhu a little bit, to some extent, that Srila Prabhupada said, my books are like time bombs. So even at first, that person may not, show much reaction, or you may think, oh, they may not read it or something like that. If they have shown even little interest by talking with you, you can give the book, because sometime somebody in their family will read the book. They may not read the book, but somebody will pick up that book and read it, and that will change their whole life. So Prabhupada never restricted, like, see who it is, if they are qualified. He said, give the books, distribute the books, distribute my books. And he said, this is war. And in war, just like the bombs are raining down like anything, similarly, our books should be raining down on the population. So we should not have any hesitation in freely giving books. That's all I want to say. Because who is qualified, as you said? Who is qualified? No one is qualified. We have all got incredible mercy. And so Prabhupada said, you have become fortunate, make the unfortunate fortunate. So we should not hesitate in giving the books, because somebody is going to read them. This is a transcendental family business. I don't know what, maybe Lalita Govinda can add something to this.
Garbage.
So these books find proper person.
Yeah, and also what we distribute from because Shivara Maharaj was mentioning what books are best for non-devotees. So we don't distribute just 10th canto on the street. We usually distribute Shish Upanishad, like Bhagavad Gita. So this is the proper books for the non-devotees. So if they have a minimum respect and they just don't throw it in the next garbage. And anyway, you have to take some chances, and Srila Prabhupada will not. He pays the bill if you go wrong under his instruction. Something else? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.